Hello, okay. So this is the community investigation number 2. Um, the first question asked, briefly describe the other religion you chose to explore and why. So I personally chose to explore Judaism because not only are coincidentally like a lot of my friends Jewish, I just felt like I never really knew anything about it, regardless of how many friends that I have are Jewish. I also had a lot of friends um, who were very active like within their faith, and I just never really like thought to really learn about it. So I really thought this would be like a good opportunity to do so. And then and then especially in Houston, like I used to live when I lived at home, like a place where like the Jewish community was very common. Like there was like the Jewish community center nearby, which is good. And then I know like the area around it also like a lot of Jewish people live there. So just in Houston in general. And then for school, since like when I further my education and work in a school, I feel like that learning so much about it will be helpful for my students. So I feel like that was a good reason. Um, so some of the stuff I guess I learned about Judaism was that Jewish people do not believe in Jesus, which I feel like is pretty. I don't know if that's common knowledge, but there's that. While the Christian Catholic faith does, I was raised Catholic, but we didn't really do anything past like the age of like 7 or 8 maybe. So there's really not a lot I know about it, and I haven't really been to a service very often in like the past 10 years. So yeah. Also, I learned that Judaism is based on a covenant between God and Abraham. One of my best friends is actually a religious studies major, so I went to a service with my friend, one of the ones who's very like believes in her faith a lot. I went to one of the services with her, I think senior year of high school. But clearly that was a little while ago. I just wasn't able to go to one for this specific assignment. But he was telling me like a lot about Judaism, and it was kind of like a lecture style actually. So I felt that that was fine. And then there's that. And then Hebrew is the language of Judaism, which I learned, and we'll go through that. Number 2, what was your experience visiting the Dawah Center and the other religious site? So, visiting that center was honestly very interesting to me. I haven't really learned about Islam or like Islam culture or really anything, just because I simply never like bothered to, which I guess I kind of just didn't. Um, I definitely felt like I was like completely immersed and like into a culture that I really knew nothing about. And having that gentleman who was so nice to like answer all of our questions and tell us all about his faith and like his culture was really amazing to me. And he was so kind, and answering like all those questions, I was just like, wow, like I feel like I've learned so much, and I felt so like much better about a faith that I feel like I should know a lot about, but I just simply don't. Um, I have other Muslim friends, and through the orientation team that I do, I had one really good Muslim friend, but I just never felt like I should ask her about her faith because I felt like maybe it could be inappropriate or like she would not like it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I felt like it could be offensive. When I went to the synagogue, I went to the Jewish service with my friend. I felt like I kept comparing it to the Catholic service that I've experienced, and it was completely different. They had their sermons, I think they're called, in Hebrew, which I thought was really interesting because like we don't have ours in a different language. Although I don't really identify as Catholic, but yeah. What else is different? It was just an overall like very different experience, and then I didn't have like the first communion since I don't believe in Jesus, like, stuff like that. Um, Religion in the classroom, I definitely think it should be taught. I just think religion in the classroom can be a sensitive subject for a lot of people, so I think it just has to be really careful. I took AP World History and U.S. History in high school, and I felt like we never really learned about a lot about religion, and I felt like I was like disserviced because of that, because I felt like we were expected so much more, but didn't learn so much about like the culture, especially for world history. I felt like we should learn more about religion. Say there's a quote from the academic content article that said to allow substantial planning time to prepare for students' questions. I feel like that's really, really important because they're going to ask questions and you should try to know the answer, because this can kind of make or break like their learning experience, and also you can show like their perspective. And then I guess like one of the biggest things I learned about the Jewish service is that they have something called Kaddish, I believe it's called, and it's recited at every service in remembrance of a relative's passing. I believe there's kind of something like that in the Catholic faith, but it's not really like within the service for me personally, the ones I've been to. But yeah, that's everything I learned.